Hello and welcome to this week's video. Today, before we start, I would like your opinion on whether or not we should have music to the videos, because I did put music with the last couple of videos, but on the first one I didn't. And I would like to know if you like it with music or if you'd prefer it without music. So could you just pop a comment below and give me an idea of whether or not to keep it, so that I can make the best videos for you. So on with today's video then. We are, as I said, going to be looking at doing some simple shapes to make cartoon animals, and all you'll need for that is a piece of paper, some pencils and perhaps something to colour it in with at the end. Alright, let's go! So for today's video I thought we'd do 3 simple animals, and as you can see the first one I've picked is a little sausage dog or a dachshund. The second one I've chosen is a badger, you see that one, and lastly I've chosen Mr. Fox here. Okay, and you can draw these really simply with the way I'm going to show you. So we'll start off with the dachshund because he's probably the easiest. Although this technique of using simple shapes to draw your pictures can be used on any animal. So again, I'm going to show you from this corner here. What I would do to start with anything that you're going to draw is, first of all, before I even start, make sure that you've got room on your page for the whole animal, because quite often people will start in the middle of a page when actually if the animal's long, especially like a sausage dog, he's a little bit long, they'll run out of room towards the end of their page and then have to make his body shorter. So it's really important before you start to make sure you're in the right place on your page. So then to start off with, you might think, oh, where on earth do I start? I would look at this and see if we can see shapes in the animal. So to start with, I'd see probably a triangle shape for his head, a rectangle, generally speaking anyway, for his body, and then we've got some little stick legs and a straight tail there. So let's start then by drawing a triangle, a bit like that, for his head. Hopefully you can see this. I've chosen to draw in blue again just because it doesn't reflect like pencil. So I'll try and press a bit harder. So there we go. That's a triangle that's going to represent his head. And then we're going to do a little square on that, like that, which is going to be his neck. So you all know how to draw a triangle and a square. Then we're going to draw underneath that square a rectangle. I suppose you can make him as long as you like. I'm going to do him about like that. Okay, you can start to see how it's starting to look a little bit like the sausage dog that we've got over here. Okay, so then we're going to do some legs, and I've just chosen a basic side-on position, but if we look about drawing the legs, not right on the end like that, because we've got to draw his chest. So we'll do a couple of little rectangles, they are again, aren't they? There. And then on this end, we can go right up to the edge there. Okay, because if we look again at the picture, dogs' legs tend to come out a bit at an angle. They're not quite the same at the front as they are at the back, are they? So there we are. And then last of all then, we're going to do a shape like that on the front leg, and on the back leg we're going to do the same shape, but we're going to do it on the side of that little rectangle. Okay, and last of all we're going to do a little tiny triangle on the end, which is going to be for his foot. So, starting to look a bit like a dog, and then you can just do a tail like this. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is to smooth off the edges and reconstruct our little dog so that he looks a bit more realistic and less like a robot. We've also got to put in an ear which we'll do now. And they're really long ears, aren't they? Okay, so we've got that ear there as well. And maybe just indicate where the nose is going to go there. I just drawn a little triangle for that. And his eye, we're getting another little dot. Okay, so the first part is drawing the simple shapes and doing what we call deconstructing, or taking it apart, looking at the simple ways that we can draw a more complicated picture. Then we are going to smooth off those edges to make him look a bit more dog-like. So we're just going to start here, draw round using what we've got, doing a few more curves. You see his back can stay fairly straight, and towards the tail, and then we'll make his mouth go down a bit there. And then on this you can see his tummy sticks out a bit, doesn't it? So where his ear is and where we've got that joining up to the rectangle there, we're just going to go out a bit like this. His tummy. Can even draw a little triangle there and there as well. So after he's come out, we're going to go up like this. So he's got a nice round tummy. And carry on, as you can see what I'm doing. Bottom there. And do the same around his legs. So we've come round. Going to smooth those edges off. Like that. Back. Okay. So the last step is doing our outline. If you'd use pencil, you could actually do the outline and then rub out what you've done underneath, so you don't see all the extra work that you've done. But I'm not going to do that now. There we go, look, there's his little nose. And this is where you can make him a little personality, so you can give him a little smile. Okay, so that's done then. We will just show a little bit, like I've done on that one, show a little bit of his legs from the other side, to make it look a bit more realistic, more 3D. And there we are. So that's our finished picture, we just need to colour it in. So there he is, all finished, and we'll move on to the badger next. So we're going to try and get a little bit harder as we go along. So the badger is going to be using similar techniques. Just move him over a bit and got some room to draw. So looking at it again, we can do the same sort of idea with this badger. So I've sort of thought we could use a triangle for that bit. You can use circles as well. Some people like to use circles instead. And for the fox, we're going to show you how to use circles instead of squares. But for now, we're going to use a triangle for the badger's head. And then we're going to do this area, his neck here, with a square. And then a larger rectangle for the rest of his body. Okay. So as you can see, I've drawn a triangle for his head, a square for his neck, and then attached to that square a slightly longer rectangle there. Okay, so we've just got to put some feet in, and I'm going to do that around there. One that's curling in under him, and this one we're going to put one of the shapes that we used on the sausage dog. There. Okay, he's also going to have a tail sticking out, so you can use another triangle for that. And his back legs are, again, different to his front. They're a bit like that. So you might need to practice that one a bit. I said it was a little bit more difficult. Okay. So once you've got that, we can do as we did before and smooth out the lines and try and get that badger's shape. I'm just going to go inside that triangle, I think. There we go. So I've done the basic shape and I've smoothed off the edges, and that's looking a bit more like our badger. One other thing that I would like to say is when you do the fur of an animal, you don't have to use a straight line like this. Like I've shown on the collar there, you can do a bit of a wiggly line to show that it's furry, and again underneath him. So he's not as smooth as the sausage dog, so we have to give him a coat like that. Okay, and that's just done by not using the smooth line. Okay, so then we're going to outline him like we did before. I'll just do that quickly. Right, the other thing we do need to do, because he's a badger, is we need to give him a stripe. And I'll just tie it down there like that. And ready to colour in. So there he is, and again I've added a little back leg there like we did on the sausage dog. Right, last one then, and this time we're going to do Mr. Fox. Now, as I said with this one, we are going to start using some circles instead of squares. So we'll start looking at his head again. I mean, that is sort of a little triangle nose there. Okay, so we're going to start with that, making sure we've got enough room on our paper to fit him all in. So we do that for his nose. a bit more rounded actually, isn't it? So we'll do a more open triangle, and I am just going to do a square for his head. Looks a bit like a duck to start with. Right, that's that, and some little ears at the top, just like that. Okay, so that's going to be his head, and then we are going to do this sort of area as a circle, okay, because he's got his chest coming out there, and you can kind of see where the circle will go. Have a go. Okay, and then we're going to do another circle. We're going to leave a gap in between there for his body, so you can do an imaginary or draw a little rectangle in there if you like. And then we're going to do another circle, which will be his back and bottom there. Okay, then we're going to imagine doing some sticks for legs and build those up. So you can do some rectangles again, and his little feet are a bit more like the back legs of the dog that we drew before actually, because they're not just straight down, are they? Now I've chosen to do again a little paw coming up. You can do them straight if you find that easier. This makes them a bit more interesting, and then at the back we've got a lovely bushy tail. Do kind of there, like that. That's more of a sort of an oval shape or a squashed circle. His bottom comes around, and then we've got this shape again with the legs. So we do some, oh, my tummy rumbles, did you hear that? Perhaps I ought to have had something to eat. I've been coughing. If the video has been shaking, it's because I've got a cough, and now my tummy's rumbling. Right, so I've done the back leg there as well, and hopefully you can see that. Move it over a little bit. Right, so we've deconstructed him, we've broken him up into smaller areas, and actually he's not that hard to draw. So once you've done that, we then go in like we did with the other two animals and smooth off the edges and try and get that lovely nose there. I've rounded it off a little bit because it's, you know, they do have pointy noses, but perhaps not as pointy as a triangle. And then give them a little mouth, and then up there like that. And then again, as I said with the badger, this fur is not completely flat, so my tummy is really rumbling. Sorry about that. And then we're going to smooth off the back. I wonder if there's a special edit for tummy rumblings. Right, so then we're going to come down and do his chest, and again I've done it in the picture you can see there. I've given him a bit of a furry look to his chest. Just do a little eye over here, and I would think giving them eyebrows gives them a bit more character as well. Round that off a bit. So then we're going to come underneath and do his tummy and his legs and round it off so you can see we've actually got quite a good foxy looking shape. Okay, how's yours going? You having a go? You can always practice at home with any other animals using this technique, so you just have a look at them as a whole animal, see if you can see some basic shapes in there, so using circles, triangles, rectangles, and put them together. Make sure that they're in a good position on the paper, and you can play around with them, rub them out before you spend lots of time doing detail on one particular area, because a lot of people will start off and they'll do the head perfectly and the eyes really nicely, and then they'll do the body and they'll think, oh, hang on a minute, that's not quite right, and then they'll have to start again. But in this way you can get the whole shape of the animal down, and you can play around with it before you spend lots of time doing lovely details and things. So it's a really good idea to practice drawing like this with any animals. Perhaps if you've got pets at home, cats, dogs, that would be really good practice. And if you fancy, you can send me some via the email link as well, because I'd love to see them. This looks more like a duck, this face. I'm not quite sure. It's because I'm at a funny angle trying to do it for the camera. So there's his nose. Okay, his eye there, and his little eyebrow. And and there's our fox. So last of all, we just got to colour him in too. I'm going to leave some white here for his nose. You can colour yours as you like. So that's it for today, Artcadets. I hope you've had fun. If you have, then remember to like and subscribe. For next week, we'll be needing a photograph of yourself. I've printed one off on the computer, so it hasn't got to be photograph quality, but it has got to be nice and clear and that sort of size. Okay, you will also need a piece of tracing paper or greaseproof paper, pencils, and if you want to colour it in at the end, then some felt tips or crayons. Alright, see you then. Bye!